And our panelist, she holds a PhD from Macquarie University and is a chartered clinical psychologist and a counter-terrorism researcher and instructor. She worked in forensics in the UK and terrorist rehabilitation detention centers in Sri Lanka and has studied attack profiles and conducted interviews and assessments with violent extremist offenders in detention and rehabilitation facilities in the Philippines, Indonesia, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Libya, and South America. She provides training and supervision for military, police, prison, and rehabilitation staff on rehabilitation program design, prison management, de-radicalization, and psychosocial skills. Please welcome chartered clinical psychologist and counter-terrorism researcher and instructor, Dr. Malkanthi Hettiarachchi. Our final panelist for this session is a tech entrepreneur, CEO and co-founder of 99X Technology Limited, and under his stewardship, his company has been listed among the top 25 great places to work in Sri Lanka for 6 consecutive years, and also ranked #1 technology company and Sri Lanka's 100 most respected entities in the Nielsen survey commissioned by LMD magazine. He's the founder of Startup X Foundry, and he is the incumbent chairman of Lanka Angel Network, LAN, and a past chairman of Sri Lanka Association of Software and Service Companies, SLASCOM. Ladies and gentlemen, our final panelist, CEO, co-founder 99X Technology Limited, Mano Sekaran. Deepal, over to you.
Okay, how we will do this is I will invite the 2 panelists to make a few opening remarks, and after that we will take on. And before we start, I must thank Malik for that wonderful presentation, and I'm sure it really brought the mojo in us as what this country is possible of. Right? I would rather focus on what is possible and what we should be doing, because even if we change the government, unless we decide to do something, we can be talking the same thing 5 years from now. Why don't I invite you, Malika, to start giving your perspective, and then I'll come to Mano.
It's a pleasure to be here today and to address this audience. I think this is the largest audience for me too, Malik. I would like to say that Sri Lanka is a magical country. It's a magical nation. It might be hard to believe at the moment because we have hit a low following the Easter Sunday attacks, and because of a lot of the situations that we have to face politically. But we are an ethnically and religiously diverse nation, and it is this very diversity that is our strength. And we need leadership and vision and political guidance to be able to manage this diversity so that we can move forward into the future united. So my concern is largely to do with the ethnic and religious diversity and the conflicts that have happened. Sri Lanka in the last 30 years, you know well that we've had terrorism for 30 years. We've managed to militarily defeat it. And then 10 years on, we've had another attack. So these are all problems and difficulties that can be addressed. Sri Lanka had a time when people thought terrorism will never finish. But we needed vision and leadership to be able to overcome that problem. So what I like to say is that at the moment, we are trying to recover from the Easter Sunday attacks. We've seen how it has affected the economy of this country. And it is together as a people that we can come out of this. Globally, we have seen that communities divide on ethnic and religious lines. Sri Lanka is not immune to that. We see that Sri Lanka is also beginning to divide on ethnic and religious lines. This is an indicator. These are the fissures. These are the fault lines that you see. before ethnic religious conflict starts. And unfortunately, we have politicians who make the maximum out of this. They use these conflicts, they use dissension, they use dissatisfaction and resentment. And they harness the negatives in a direction that will further their own political gains. So as a community, what do? We have to stand together as a community. Because together, we are stronger. And that is the Sinhalese, the Muslims, the Tamils, the Burghers. We have to come together. We know that we have seen several manipulations of this nation. I would say that without a very stable and strong security platform, we cannot have a good economy functioning. And without a good economy, as Malik said, we need harmony. And for harmony, ethnic harmony, religious harmony, we also need this economic platform. But to have that, we have to have our security platform. Easter Sunday attacks was a direct result of downgrading the importance of national security. We have seen that people haven't taken responsibility, other people have fallen and expected to take responsibility. Whatever the investigations will reveal, last 4 years, we neglected that. We thought with economic development, we can do this by pacifying smaller communities or particular individuals who are interested overseas. For whatever reason, this has fallen apart. But I would like to say that if this nation is to find its mojo, and if this nation is to move forward, we don't have to look far. We've heard Malik speak about his father, and we will hear Mano speak in a little while. These are two gems that we have sitting on this panel that has helped to find their mojo and empower the community. Their organizations do not recruit based on ethnicity and religion. They empower people. They work based on skill. They recruit based on skill. There are ethics. If you were to ask me, how would our nation find its mojo, its intangible, what do? Look at the value base. We already heard in the previous presentation, dignity, empowerment, fair play. These are core values that Sri Lanka needs, and not only to talk about, because we have many policies and strategies on paper that are not implemented. So we have to have our core values, our vision sorted. We need to have our national security sorted. We need to have good economic growth. And if we were to look at everybody here and the companies that are here, you know that you have core values, you have vision, you have direction, you have good leadership. Without good leadership, we won't get anywhere. I would say that rather than talking about good governance, we have to talk about strong leadership. With weak leadership, no country can survive for long. And we have seen that happen. When we have core values, our behaviors need to project that. We need to work and we need to act and behave in ways that we reflect our core values. We need to sort out the problems that come, because no nation is free of problems. Every nation has discrimination and issues that are happening that are not okay. We have to address that. And then we have to nurture. We have to nurture our community. The companies that you will hear about are companies that have core values, have vision, provide good leadership. They walk the talk. They behave in ways that reflect the core value. They empower their employees. They empower their people. You do not have to crush others to stand. Because every one of you want to be right. Every one of you want to be significant. So by any person here, if they believe that they have to crush somebody to stand up, they are mistaken. Because if you look at Dilma or 99X, they have not stood up by crushing in somebody. They have had to fight their way through and bring out the shine. It is like an uncut gem. What they do is they bring it out, they polish it, and they show it to the world. So we need to stay together, stand together. We have our own religious and ethnic backgrounds, but we have to come together because together we will survive, but divided we will definitely fall. And in Sri Lanka, we are ethnically, religiously diverse. If we are to shine as a nation, if we are to be charismatic and powerful, we have to work together on this. Thank you.
Thank you, and I cannot help but share a small anecdote to summarize what you said. Soon after the war, we went to Trincomalee to open our new branch. And I met a person who is running a rice mill. The name of that rice mill was Sitamu, because his partners were a Sinhalese, a Tamil, and a Muslim. And I think the time has come for us to think, if companies are built with communities together on equity partnership, government should give them some incentives so that you are starting where it is possible. And the second thing I wanted to tell you was when, I think it's the Punjabis, when they came to India, the king at that time said, sorry, we cannot take any more people because our state is full. So these representatives of the Punjabis said, so can I have a glass of milk? Yes, and some sugar. Now this glass is full. Yes, glass is full. So he added that sugar. See what happened. Right? That gave the message. He said, like that, we will add taste to the rest of the Indian thing. I think the key point you highlighted is these natural divisions are proliferated by interested political parties. But economy also contributes to that. I think that's where Manu will start his 10 few minutes of initial thought.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be in this panel, and also to a fantastic presentation from Malik. You know, as I watched this presentation from Malik, you know, the first thing struck me was the difference between human and not so human, right? The first thing Meryl Jeff said, I apologize for not coming. I have never heard, maybe I'm wrong, I've never heard a politician apologizing for coming late or at least not showing up, right? And then that is the difference. Let me start this. I just want, some of you have heard this story, but I just want you to start by telling the industry. I come from IT. In 2000, when I returned back from Australia, this industry was doing $50 million as exports. We were a few of us, we got together and we said, we want to make this an industry, a $1 billion industry. People laughed, and it was good thing is government didn't understand this industry, so they didn't interfere. It was easy. And like-minded people came together, and we said, we want to build the industry. Today we surpassed 1.2 billion, and we employ 800,000 people in this industry. Wow. And we are the 5th largest export revenue earner for this country. It just took us 15 years. With all due respect, it took the tea industry 150 years to cross the $1 billion mark. Now, what is the fundamental mojo of this industry? Is knowledge and knowledge workers. When I grew up, I always heard our teachers going to Zambia or to Pakistan to teach. I also, as I grew up, I heard a lot of people, accountants especially, bankers going to Middle East for banking and auditing. Then, with the problems in our countries, we had doctors in Australia. if you go around any university in the US, there'll be at least 2 professors from Sri Lanka. So I think Sri Lanka has a coachable and an amazing talent, right? And this was the basis of our industry. In the new economy, it's all about knowledge, it's all about disruption, it's about innovation. And the world we see as one market. And that was the premise of this industry. And 2 things come to this. The fundamental basis is about education and skills. And I think Sri Lanka has this, because if you look at the British days, a lot of Sri Lankan administrative people were sent to Malaysia, to Singapore, professionals to, I think it was to Myanmar. So I think there is something about this nation, with all the beauties what we have. The people are creative, coachable, and they have the desire and the passion to learn. So I think the way I look at it, we are in a world, we are in the middle of a 4th industrial revolution. It will change the entire world in the next 20 years. It will be based on technology, it will be based on disruptive business models, and Sri Lanka has to poise itself. We need to really think to transform from the old economy to a complete new economy. The basis of our old economy is based on cheap labor, whether it is garments, whether it is domestic or it's tea. It constitutes, all these 3 industries put together constitute almost above 50% of our foreign income. And you don't need to go to school to be a workforce in this industry, right? And on the other hand, we have a mismatch. The greatest mismatch is if you speak to any unskilled labor in this country, whether you're a driver or a peon, they want their children to get educated. The social mobility in our society is to educate yourself, right? And that's how you climb, that's how you create wealth. And that's the mojo, right? That's how we have been taught, and that comes from our culture, from ethos. But what is sad is we don't have jobs, right? Because we have not reimagined our economy. We really don't have jobs. I do some work in Jaffna. I mean, after the war, you go there, people are educating, there's absolutely no jobs, right? We are heading for a massive disaster, whether north or south, right? So I think I agree with Malkanti. The social and the tension, what we have in our society, is purely because of lack of economic opportunity. So it's left to us as leaders in every aspect. How do we take this country to the next level, right? And it is very fundamentally important. So the first starting base, I would say, Sri Lanka lacks entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs. It's only 1% of our working population are entrepreneurs. If you look at a young nation like Vietnam, they have 20% entrepreneurs. And India is 5%. So fundamentally, for a nation to live in this era, you need 2 things. You need entrepreneurs and people who can invent or innovation. This is fundamentally the 2 ingredients you need to take. Because it is the entrepreneurs who will create jobs. I may be wrong. I have looked at the listed companies. None of the listed companies are adding new employees. It is the new companies who will add. And this is fundamentally important for us to build entrepreneurship. We don't because it's our education. So we have scared to fail, and there is no ecosystem. So I think entrepreneurship is vital if we are to go as a nation. Second, we have